Hello, hello. Welcome back. Today is your last day of Compassion Camp. I know that you've learned so much these past 5 sessions about compassion and God's heart for the world, and I've learned a lot from you too. I will truly miss seeing you, and hopefully one day I'll see you in person. But throughout this Compassion Camp, we've learned that compassion is seeing, it's feeling, it's welcoming, and we talked a lot about how compassion means to be brave and how it is important to love others and care for ourselves. We learned last time how it helps us to be open to people, right? And we encounter along the way to trust in God as He leads us by opening up to people. Today, for our last time together, we explored how compassion gives us a fresh start through the beautiful tradition of Jubilee. Jubilee helps us, the fresh start like Jubilee helps us to see, feel, and trust God's abundance because it's meant for all people. God's abundance is meant for all of His creation. When we give time and space for rest, and when we gather together at the table and care for those who are in need and that need help the most, we show God's compassion. So why though is a fresh start so important? Is because God's compassion is God's justice. And working for God's justice makes things right. Making things right releases God's abundance into the world. Making sure everyone has what they need. And when we rest, we help people and the land needs rest as well. We show God's justice. When we gather together at the table in joy, we show God's justice. Because God is just. He is always just. He is always right. He is always good. When we care for those who need the most help, we show God's justice. Justice makes things right. It happens when we are compassionate, though. These are the ways we can be compassionate. And I know that you all are going back to school. And it's going to be different this year. But nothing happens by a mistake. There is a reason that you went to this camp and you have been walking through these 5 sessions together. God is teaching you about compassion. And more than ever, right now, we need to have compassion in the world towards others. So it is a blessing to know about compassion and to give that compassion to others. So as you start school, it's going to be difficult. It's maybe difficult, but it's going to be challenging and different. So, with compassion, I want us to commit to seeing and welcoming others, being brave and showing up for others, loving ourselves, being present with each other, listening to each other, and lastly, having a fresh start, having rest for ourselves and rest for the world, right? When we do these things, we show God's love, God's peace, and God's justice for the world. So, I want us to commit by saying, I will have compassion today, I will have compassion tomorrow, and I will have compassion forever. Repeat that after me. I will have compassion today. I will have compassion tomorrow. And I will have compassion forever. Amen? So let's end in a prayer, committing to living with compassion throughout the rest of our lives, and constantly learning to be better in the Lord, learning to love ourselves and love others as God sees us. Right? So let's say this last prayer together. Repeat after me. Dear Lord, let's put one hand on our heart and one hand on our heads. Okay, we've been doing this all week, and let's conclude that way. Put one hand on your heart and one hand on your heads. Dear Lord, joyful Spirit, your loving hands are always creating freedom. Release and fresh start us. Help us to do the same today by caring for all living things. Let us care with gentleness and open us up humbly to receive. Let us care the same way towards ourselves. Make our hearts smile and our actions sing your promise of abundance towards the whole world. Amen. All right, everyone. I hope you had a great compassion camp. I'm so glad I got to meet you. And I look forward to seeing you soon, hopefully in person. Have a good one.